July 1456. An army of 80,000 Ottoman soldiers surrounded the fortress city of Belgrade. Cannons thundered, war drums echoed across the Danube. Inside the city walls, only 6,000 defenders remained. By every measure of war, the outcome seemed already decided. But what happened next became one of the most extraordinary defensive victories in European history. This is the story of the Siege of Belgrade. By the mid-15th century, the Ottoman Empire was expanding rapidly into Europe. Just 3 years earlier, in 1453, the Ottomans had captured Constantinople, ending the Byzantine Empire and shocking the Christian world. At the center of this expansion stood Sultan Mehmed II, known to history as Mehmed the Conqueror. His objective was clear: push deeper into Europe. And the gateway to that expansion was the fortress city of Belgrade. At the time, Belgrade was one of the strongest defensive fortresses in southeastern Europe. If the Ottomans captured it, the road into Hungary and Central Europe would be wide open. So in the summer of 1456, Mehmed marched north with a massive army. Historians estimate nearly 80,000 soldiers, supported by artillery, warships, and siege engineers. Against them, Belgrade had only a few thousand defenders. The city was commanded by John Hunyadi, one of the most experienced military leaders in Europe. Hunyadi understood the stakes. If Belgrade fell, the Ottomans could march directly into the heart of Europe. So he prepared the city for siege. Walls were reinforced, supplies were gathered, and volunteers began arriving. Most of them were not professional soldiers. They were farmers, villagers, and religious followers inspired by Giovanni da Capistrano. Most were poorly trained and lightly armed, but they were determined to defend the city. By the time the Ottoman army arrived, Belgrade had roughly 6,000 defenders inside its walls. July of 1456, the Ottoman army surrounded Belgrade. Cannons opened fire on the fortress walls. Day after day, artillery pounded the defenses. Meanwhile, the Ottoman navy blocked the Danube River, preventing reinforcements from reaching the city. But Hunyadi had a bold plan. Instead of waiting for the city to collapse, he launched a surprise attack. Leading a small fleet of ships down the Danube, Hunyadi smashed through the Ottoman naval blockade. The maneuver allowed reinforcements and supplies to reach the city. It was the first major setback for the Ottoman army. But the decisive battle had not yet begun. On July 21, 1456, Sultan Mehmed ordered a full assault on the fortress. Thousands of Ottoman soldiers surged towards the walls. Wave after wave attacked the defenses. At several points, Ottoman troops managed to break through the outer walls and enter the city. For a moment, it seemed Belgrade had fallen, but the defenders fought fiercely in the streets. Hunyadi and his soldiers pushed the attackers back towards the gates. And then, something unexpected happened. The next day, a group of Christian volunteers launched an unplanned attack against the Ottoman camps. Most of them were untrained peasants, but instead of retreating, they pushed forward. Confusion spread across the battlefield. Seeing the opportunity, Hunyadi joined the attack with his professional soldiers. What began as a small skirmish quickly turned into a massive counter-offensive. The defenders stormed the Ottoman artillery positions. Cannons were captured, supply camps were destroyed. During the fighting, Sultan Mehmed himself was reportedly wounded. Suddenly, the enormous Ottoman army was no longer attacking, it was retreating. Within days, the Ottoman forces withdrew from Belgrade. The siege had failed. Against overwhelming odds, a force of only 6,000 defenders had held off one of the largest armies in Europe. For the Ottoman Empire, it was a rare and humiliating defeat. For Europe, it was a moment of relief. Belgrade would remain outside Ottoman control for another 70 years. The Siege of Belgrade became one of the most famous defensive victories of the medieval era. It proved that even the powerful Ottoman Empire could be stopped. In honor of the victory, Pope Calixtus III ordered church bells across Europe to ring at noon, a tradition that in many places continues to this day. But the victory came at a cost. Just weeks later, John Hunyadi died from plague, ending the life of one of Europe's greatest military commanders. Yet his defense of Belgrade had already changed history. For decades, the fortress stood as a barrier against Ottoman expansion, and the battle became a symbol of resistance during one of Europe's most dangerous eras. Sometimes, history reminds us of a powerful truth. Numbers alone do not decide a battle. Leadership, strategy, and timing can change the fate of entire civilizations. And in the summer of 1456, on the walls of Belgrade, they did exactly that.